Hello and welcome to Wealthy Life. My name is Vicky Wishay. In this podcast, we're going to be asking questions. And by the end of the podcast, you're going to be able to have a tool kit of just 3 simple questions that you can apply to every decision going forward, no matter how small or how big, that are going to help you make a better decision, have a better outcome, become more successful, and actually achieve the goals that you really want to achieve, to cut through all of the noise that is around us now and is building over the months to come. So the title of this podcast is, what questions are you asking? And there are 3 questions that you need to be asking literally on everything that you do, and almost at an unconscious level. And when you get good at this, it will be on an unconscious level. And those 3 questions are: why, what, and how. There are other questions that you can ask yourself, but these are the 3 that you need to ingrain into your habits. And I spoke to you on a previous podcast about, are you a creature of habit? And this is a new habit that I would love for you to take on board. When we were children, we would have asked the question, why, all the time. Your parents would have told you to do something and you would have said why. And your parents' reply probably would have been, stop asking why. And ironically, I'm now going to come back to you and say, you need to be asking why. We need to reintroduce that habit. It doesn't have to be out loud to people, like, can you come over here, please, darling? Why? You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to do it overtly. You don't even have to do it out loud, but you need to do it. And if we can get it even to an unconscious level, it's even more powerful, because it then doesn't take up your thinking time. So why do you need to ask why? When we ask why, we are looking for relevance. We are looking for importance. It's part of the processing that we can now do when we're not facing things like tigers and bears and everybody else that might kill us. In the old days, when we were at our most primal, our instincts were based on fight or flight, and we will still have those. Your instinct to fight or to flight is still there to protect you at a very basic level. But we are now full of so much information, from social media, from news, from access to the internet, podcasts, books. We have got almost information data overload, if you like. And what we now need to do is introduce that question why, to help us cut our way through the data, so that we can identify what data is relevant and what data is important to us. So what I want you to do is to start thinking about the question why. If I say to you, you need to drink water rather than you need to drink coffee, I want you to ask the question why. Why do you need to drink coffee rather than, the other way around. Why do you need to drink water rather than drinking the question? Goodness me, do that again. I want you to start thinking about why you need to drink water rather than you need to drink coffee. And the point here is about hydration. But if you don't understand hydration, you won't understand why water is more important to you than coffee, and why coffee theoretically could be detrimental because it's a diuretic. So I'm using this as an example. It's a simple thing. Would you like a glass of water? Would you like coffee? Which shall I get for you? Why is the question you should be thinking here. Why should I have water versus why should I have coffee? And if you don't understand the information, you can't make the decision. Why should I be thinking about my finances going forward? If you don't have the answers to that question, you won't know to prioritize focusing on your finances over the next few months. Why should I invest in property? If you don't know the answer to the question why, you won't then want to get into the what does that mean and how can I do it? So you see how why opens everything, but also at the same time narrows. It opens up your thinking because it's the point at which you start gathering top level information about the topic you are considering or the decision you are facing. But it also narrows, because in filtering that information and looking for its relevance, looking at whether does this information about this topic, this decision that I have to make, add to my plans, help me achieve my goals, make me more successful, or is it a distraction, or even will it cause me to go backwards? Then that puts you in a position where you can make a better decision right at the point about filtering through the information. Once you've filtered through by going to the why question, you can then work out what you want to achieve more information on. So where you need to get more what in your life. It sounds a bit of a strange sentence, but what is the second question? And you need to know where you can get more what into your life. So I've worked out why I need to listen to this podcast, this piece of information, why I need to make this decision rather than another decision. And that's helped me narrow down my thinking. Now I'm at what, I can start to get more information about, this is a bit judgmental, the right topics, because I've narrowed it by asking why first. Why has filtered out the things that are relevant, the things that aren't going to support. So therefore, I can increase the data that I gather about that specific why by asking the question, what does this mean? So let's go back to the water drink. Why should you drink water versus coffee? So why is really important because it's about hydration. Now you can get into, and hydration is something that you're concerned about, or it's a hot day. Now you can ask what does hydration mean? How does water help with hydration? And actually you could go back the reverse way and go, how does coffee detrimentally help your hydration? Why should I be investing in property? Because it can create that second source of income for you. What do you mean by investing in property? What would that entail? What amount of money might I need? What team would I need? What is the best location? What is the best strategy? You can ask all of those questions. And then we can move on to the third one. So when you've got enough fact finding, so why filters, data is gathered through the what question. Once you've got the right data to help you form a decision, then you can get into the detail of the how. Too often we put it all the other way around, how you can do something, not why you should do something, not even what it means to do that thing. We've got the questions up the wrong way around. Let's go back almost to a childlike way of thinking and ask questions that are going to support us. Ask questions that are going to enable us to achieve our goals. And if you're listening to this podcast, then your goal is a wealthy life. And if you want a wealthy life, you know that your time is important. And by asking the question why first, followed by the question what, you can actually overall save time by asking the right questions in the right order, rather than spending time getting into all the detail of something that's not relevant to you or something that's not going to support you. Now, in case you're worried about, oh, well, hold on a second, if I just use this technique, then I'm not going to be open to different ways of thinking. You absolutely are, because you apply why to that different way of thinking and you evaluate it. And if by evaluating it at the beginning, it is something that will support you, something that is important, something that is new that you didn't know about and you need to check it, then you can ask the what. And as you then get into the detail, you make another level of decision. By understanding what, you may then rule it in or rule it out still at that point. It's not linear. You don't ask the question why, go down one path and then follow that into the what, follow that into the how, and rule everything else out. You're just using smarter questions to help you filter through the noise, to help you remain focused on achieving the goals that you want and to being more successful, but also to minimizing the amount of time that you have to put into this decision-making process by narrowing it all down. Why is this important to me? What does it mean? And if all of those answers are relevant to you, then you ask, how do I achieve this? How do I move forward? how do I go to the next stage? And you can narrow this down. So let's get more childlike. Let's ask the why question. As I say, maybe some of that time you're going to have to ask it in your head, because if your boss tells you to do something, you might not want to go why to them on the outside. You might think the why on the inside. And equally, if your children start asking you, can we have tea? You don't want to say why to them. So, but you can still start thinking this through. And what you'll find is that you'll very quickly and almost unconsciously get into this. So like the previous habits I spoke to you about, I can't remember quite what episode it was. I think it was maybe episode 20. So a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this, and I was talking about creating a gratitude habit in the morning and setting your alarm for 3:33 in the afternoon and all of those sorts of things. Now, what I want you to do is add in the questions that you ask. So this is probably, given that I have plugged it for so many episodes, actually a very short episode, but a very poignant, a very powerful episode, which is about asking the question why. And only when you know why that something is relevant do you then get into the detail of what and how. That by planting this seed, I hope that I'm going to shape the way you think so that you can be more successful, more focused, and find that it's easier to filter out what's relevant to you. We often hear people saying, turn the TV off, or don't watch these programs, or don't do social media. I like flicking through social media. I like the videos. I find them, some of them, entertaining, but I don't spend hours on them. And I know why I am doing it. I am doing it at a time because I just want some relaxation. I don't want to get into a whole film. I just want to flick through something visually to change the way I'm thinking so that I can step into a relaxation phase. So I know why I'm watching those videos. I don't need to get into the what of all of them. I don't need to get into the how of all of them. It's serving its purpose. So you can apply this to everything: your food choices, your business choices, your financial choices, your life choices even. So let me know how this works for you. Let me know if you apply it, and let me know what better questions you're asking yourself and what better outcomes you're having. And above all, I hope that in listening to this particular episode, I've enabled you to get a little bit more whoosh into your life by asking the question why.